One of the first signs of the beginning of understanding is the wish to die. This life appears unbearable, never unattainable. One is no longer ashamed of wanting to die. One asks to be moved from the old self, which one hates, to a new one, which one will only in time come to hate. In this, there is also a residue of belief that during the move, the master will chance to come along the corridor, look at the prisoner, and say, "This man is not to be locked up again, and he is to come with me." Every hidden cell is throbbing with music and life, every fiber thrilling like harp strings. "Tony, Tony, come around. Something's lost that cannot be found." Entering a cell, penetrating deep as a flying saucer, to find a new galaxy would be an honorable task. For a new scientist interested more in the inner state of the soul than in outer space. Cellaholics are those who interrupt quality time when they are with you, but rather text, call, and email others who are somewhere else. When you chronically interrupt your time with whomever you're with to answer your phone text, you are saying that the caller is more important, and no, you're not that important, that you must always dismiss your current company to answer whomever is on the phone. Seriously, you're not. To free yourself from one cell to immediately rush to the next cell isn't getting you out of any prison. Would you like to return to your room? Penelope pulled from her my thoughts. It took me a moment to respond. "You mean my cell? It's far more comfortable and not nearly as drafty as the dungeon," he replied. "A cell is a cell, no matter how comfortable it is," I told him. "I'm fairly certain this is the same conversation we had earlier." Castile commented. My gaze swiveled to Castile. "I'm fairly certain I don't care. I'm also sure that we came to the conclusion that you have never been free, Princess." Castile tacked on. The truth of those words was still as brutal as it was when they had first been spoken. "I don't believe you would even recognize freedom if it were ever offered to you. I know enough to know that's not what you're offering." I shot back, fury returning in a hot, welcoming wave, warming my too cold skin. "I would like to return to my more comfortable, not nearly as drafty cell. We are temporary cell colonies made by our genes to pass them on to the next generation. English is paradoxical that we do not consider the constant death of ourselves as our own death, while we do consider the death of ourselves as individuals, even though we are cells of society. From the day I got the letter, she told me she would no longer be allowed to come because she wasn't my wife. From that day on, I felt that I was at home in my cell and that my life was coming to a standstill there. And one day when the guard told me that I'd been in for 5 months, I believed it, but I didn't understand it. For me, it was one and the same unending day that was unfolding in my cell, and the same thing I was trying to do. He who thinks that a prison cell is the worst deprivation of freedom has never been fixed onto a net bed. An organism is not a collection of cells. It's a function that tells cells how to behave, and this function is not implemented as some kind of a supernatural thing, like some morphogenetic field. It is an emergent result of the interactions of each cell with each other cell. Do not allow your smartphone to control your day. Furthermore, a cell has no ability to improve its basic function. Bacteria that becomes resistant to antibiotics are still bacteria. Fruit flies that develop mutations are still fruit flies. Moths that change color are still moths. Birds that develop longer and shorter beaks are still birds. Therefore, one organism has no natural ability to change into another organism. A living cell that stole a living soul. A living cell that stole a living soul. Are you aware that since the 1980s, your body has been adapting to abnormal wireless radiation from cell phone towers? If you don't think past your own thoughts, you will live a prisoner to your experience, and that can be a very small cell to live in. English pain is a manifestation of democracy of cells. 5G, for me, equated to 5 minutes to gas. A cell phone company transmitter is just like mounting a microwave oven up on a pole with its protective door removed. Would you willfully stand next to a microwave oven in operation with no door on it? Every multicellular organism begins as one cell, which contains all of the intricate instructions to synthesize, organize, and regulate not only the cell, but the development and maintenance of all cells that will inevitably comprise the organism. All of these instructions are encoded in the first cell's DNA. And this underscores the complexity of the genome and how each cell's expression must be controlled in specific ways depending on its function. The cells handling from each tissue in the human body, e.g., a muscle, lung, heart, liver, harbor a unique epigenetic signature which enables the maintenance of tissue-specific functions through the control of gene regulation. As just discussed, our knowledge of the total number of unique cells or cell types is still growing. Previous estimates put the number of unique cell types in the human body at 300, but new estimates from the human cell at last have shown that we may have thousands of cell types and subtypes, each harboring a unique function for a specific psychological state or response to stimuli. But even cells of the same cell type will not be identical. A cell's presentation of molecules on their surface can radically change depending on internal variables such as genetic mutations or altered states of their epigenome, transcriptome, and proteome, as well as external stimuli, including drugs and interactions with other cells. This novel presentation is most pronounced with a neoantigen when a cancer cell creates an entirely new molecule on the surface of the cell, given its unique presentation, which wouldn't be found in normal cells. This offers a unique target for safe cancer therapies. The human body has about 30 trillion human cells plus another 30 through 40 possibility trillion bacterial cells for a total of about 70 trillion cells. If your body were a democracy, the human cells would often be the minority or equal party. You as a human would never win an election. Your loss of control will less likely result in you rolling around in the soil or lying in a bathtub full of yogurt, which I do sometimes on Sundays, regardless of how you spend your Sundays. There are a lot of microbes on and around your body. There are, in fact, so many microbes that they compose the bulk of the cells on Earth. This is a humbling and exciting statistic, and one which is vividly apparent for anyone who has ever had explosive diarrhea, spitting forever in pinnacle syllables.